Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Driven. Today on the show, we are talking RGB and actually more specifically RGB power cables for your graphics card and for your motherboard. Now these are the Lian Li Streamer Pluses, the second generation of them, and they're going to be going on the RGB everything PC. If there was a box to be checked and it had an optional RGB, that box was checked and added to this computer. There's probably very few items now at this point that I can add that will add more RGB to it. So anyways, stick around. So let's do, before we get into the Streamer Pluses, let's do a quick overview about this computer. This machine's a Ryzen 5 3600, 16 gigs of 3600 megahertz memory. It's got a WD 500 gig NVMe SSD, 1 terabyte game drive, which is SATA, 750 watt power supply, an Asus X470 Prime motherboard. The only reason why I went with that is because it's white. A 1080 Ti Strix, which has been painted white, so the entire top shroud and the front of it has been painted white. The fans are still black. And basically anything else you can get either in white or with RGB has been added. So the RAM has RGB, the cooler has RGB, the case came with 3 RGB fans, added 3 more, and an RGB AIO, RGB LED strips on the top and on the bottom, the RAM, and now we're adding the Streamer Pluses to really top it off. There's not really much more else that can be added to this machine to add more RGB. The keyboard is a Corsair K70 White SE, which is RGB. The mouse is another Corsair mouse that has a little RGB light, same with the headset. So everything is, besides like a monitor, is RGB. So, but anyways, let's unbox these and get these guys installed. So I've unboxed the Streamer Plus cables. Now, when you are purchasing these, you need to start with the 24-pin power supply cable as it provides the controller. As well as each of them come with their own instructions, so we will be reading those to make sure this is all hooked up correctly, because don't be stubborn and miss and over glance these. It's probably a good idea to read them to make sure you hook it up right. Within the packages, this is what all comes with the 24-pin. So you get a couple different cables for hooking up the RGB. Now this motherboard that's in this case, the X470 Prime from Asus, does not have addressable RGB, so we will have to use this controller, and as well as this is not compatible with iCUE, which everything else in this system is. So we are adding a second controller to the system, which is unfortunate. Now, a good note to note with the GPU cable, so this is your, it has dual 8 pins, but they actually break out to become 6 plus 2 pins. So if your graphics card only has a 6 pin, like dual 6 pins, or a 6 plus an 8 pin, you'll be fine, as you can peel off one of these and plug it in appropriately. Now, I believe the Asus Strix is, yes, it is dual 8 pin, where the FE 1080 Ti is 8 plus 6 pin. So fairly nice. Now it's a pretty basic overview. These do have a decent amount of flex as well, as I should mention. So they should be pretty flexible. I do like how the actual cable extensions are like a white, very shiny white, so almost silvery color. Overall, they feel pretty sturdy. They don't feel like they're going to break. I'm going to do my best to try to... This is the only thing I wish they made was white, because like you have this nice white cable and then it's like black. And it's like, well, if you're doing an all-white build, that's kind of an eyesore. And it's the same thing even with the graphics card cable. So hopefully we can make this work. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to move this all the way up to the ends of the cables. So when it's sitting there like that, you won't see it too much. But even like this, it's not too bad. So we'll see how that is. But we're going to switch over to time-lapse while I install this, and then I'll give you my thoughts when it's installed. cable extensions are now in and they are lit up. Looking at the preview on my camera, this is baby blue and it looks very bright, and it could just be that it's blowing out the camera, but there's a few different color options you have from this and a couple different other addressable options as well as you have with this, which is really, really nice. I'm going to cycle through them right now. Now you can control them through the controller. There's buttons on it and you can adjust the color. So that's pink, that's white, off, which is weird why you'd want off. And then you have like kind of these light trails, and then there's this one. And as well as in each of these modes, you can change the colors, speed them up and slow them down, which is really cool. So it gets pretty hectic on how you have it. Some of them are a little slower, and you can also adjust the brightness. So if they are too bright for you, you can raise and lower them. Overall, I think the quality of the cables are pretty good because they are very flexible. It looks like they are working just fine. Computer powered up with no issues, which I'm pretty happy with. And there we go, we're all through the modes. The only thing I was a little disappointed was there was no rainbow mode, which was weird. You know, every single RGB option out there has a rainbow mode, and this is the only RGB item I've dealt with that doesn't have it. So as I'm editing this video, I found out, and you saw in the clips that I put in of the completed build, there is a mode with rainbow colors. So that is possible. It's just at the time, for some reason, it wasn't showing. And after I recabled the system, I tore it all down and redid all the power cables and everything behind the motherboard tray to make everything fit better than what I initially did for the testing. It now all fits, and I actually get full colors. So I think maybe something wasn't plugged in 100%, causing it to not do rainbow mode. Anyways, we'll shoot back to the original clip. The price of these, depending on your region, I'll put a link in PC Part Picker if they have them. I think they do, but I don't know. I didn't pay too much for these locally. They were, I think this was about $60 and that one was about $80 or something like that. I can't remember, but that was Canadian pricing, so it does vary if you're in the States. Availability is a bit hard to get these, and that could just be a Canadian thing. And maybe a 2020 thing, but they were a little difficult to get my hands on. I had to order them in and wait on them. They weren't in stock at any local store. But besides that, overall, I'm pretty happy with them. If I did have an addressable RGB controller on the motherboard, that might open up more options for patterns and other options. But overall, with the patterns it comes with and how they are, is pretty good. But the biggest thing is, if you do have a case like this with everything RGB, so 6 RGB fans, 2 RGB strips, RGB AIO, you know, the graphics card has its own built-in controller, same with the RAM, so you don't have to worry about that, or the motherboard. But the problem is when you have all this stuff, a Commander Pro as well, you do have a lot of extra cables, and you saw that in the time-lapse where in the basement of this case, it is just rammed, and I had to actually move the lighting node core over to allow it to close. Now, I don't even know if the side panels are going to close just yet. So my plan was to, right now, initially just get it up and running to show you guys. I'm probably going to do some rewiring to this PC, which is going to take me a few hours. I'm going to totally tear it down and try to clean it up the best I can. So in a compact case like this, wiring, cable management is a must. And adding cable extensions in a small case makes your life a little bit more difficult. So that is the only real downside about anything RGB, is just adding more cables and more mess to your case. So you got to be very conscious about cable management, and if you have the room. So if you do have a smaller case, just keep that in mind. But overall, I'm really happy with these. So if you are into RGB, I would consider checking them out. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing these cables. Overall, I like them a lot, and definitely worth checking out. So if you like today's video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.